And the exhibition focuses on the first portraits ever taken of Her Majesty at that time, displayed alongside the jewels that we see Her Majesty wearing in those portraits.
Picture this. Late at night, an 88-year-old princess walks into a room carrying a box that's been locked away for over 20 years. She's about to do something that will cause chaos in the royal family. Something that will leave Queen Camilla furious and King Charles speechless. And the crazy part? This was all planned decades ago by the Queen Mother herself. No press release came out, no official statement, no explanation from the palace about what happened that night at Clarence House. But what Princess Alexandra did would change everything. She had a velvet box with the letters QM stamped in gold. Inside were jewels the Queen Mother wore during the biggest moments of her life, and she was about to hand them to Catherine, Princess of Wales, the secret gift that shook the royals. Here's the shocking part. Queen Camilla knew nothing about this. The current queen consort was completely left out, not asked, not told, ignored like she didn't exist. Why would Alexandra do something so bold? What was in that box that was worth risking a royal war? The answer takes us back to the Queen Mother's final years. Most people saw her as the sweet grandmother who lived to 101, but she was much more than that. She understood power better than anyone. She survived the abdication crisis when a king gave up the throne for love. She stood by King George VI during World War II when bombs hit London.
The King and Queen in London continue the inspection of the areas which have suffered in the nightly bombing of the capital.
She watched her daughter become Queen Elizabeth II and handled decades of problems. She learned one big lesson: the monarchy only survives if the right people carry it forward. As she got older, the Queen Mother worried about the future. She watched Diana die and saw how it broke the family. She watched Charles and Camilla go from scandal to acceptance. And she made a decision that would matter for decades. Palace insiders say she changed her will in secret, not the public will, a private one with special instructions for her personal belongings. These jewels weren't owned by the crown, they were hers, pieces she chose, wore, and loved. They showed who she was as a queen consort with real dignity. And in those secret instructions, she was clear. These jewels were for a future queen who had grace, not someone hungry for attention. Someone with dignity, not someone desperate for power. She never wrote Camilla's name. She didn't have to. Leaving her out said everything. But the Queen Mother went even further. She wrote something like a prophecy. A palace insider said she described a queen of silent strength who would fix the monarchy's moral compass. She described this woman so clearly that when Catherine joined the family years later, Princess Alexandra knew right away. This was the one the Queen Mother predicted. Yes, the Queen Mother might have seen Catherine coming before William even proposed. Sounds impossible? Or maybe it was just amazing intuition from someone who watched royals for almost a century. Now let's talk about Princess Alexandra. She's 88 years old, the Queen's cousin, daughter of Prince George, Duke of Kent. More importantly, she was the Queen Mother's beloved niece and most trusted person. While other royals wanted headlines, Alexandra believed in the old values: quiet service, duty, loyalty. She's done thousands of royal duties over her life, never looking for attention, never causing drama, just serving. The Queen Mother trusted her with this massive secret. People who know her say she's carried this burden for over 20 years, waiting, watching, looking for the sign that it was time to do what her aunt asked. That sign came when she watched Catherine, not the Catherine in tabloids, the real one. The one who got called Waity Katie for years and never complained. The one who faced brutal media attacks and never hit back. The one who married into the most famous family on earth and stayed herself. Alexandra saw in Catherine exactly what the Queen Mother described. A woman whose strength came from grace, not showing off. So one night, Alexandra did what she'd been waiting to do. It was late, past 10 at night. Most palace staff had gone home. Official records show no meeting scheduled, no visitors. But Alexandra arrived carrying a box locked in her safe for over 20 years. Catherine was there alone. No helpers, no security in the room. No William, just her. Some say the meeting was secretly arranged. Others think Alexandra just showed up, Knowing Catherine would understand. What happened next changed royal history. Alexandra put the velvet box on the table. The box was beautiful. Deep red velvet, old brass hinges. Those two letters in faded gold. QM. These belong to you, Alexandra said. Not a question. A fact. Catherine couldn't speak at first. She knew what this meant. I can't, Catherine finally said. These should go to... They go where she intended, Alexandra interrupted, her voice strong with 88 years of authority. Not where rules say, where she wanted them to go. Then Alexandra opened the box. Inside was history itself. The main piece was the Queen Mother's guardian brooch. This was the brooch she wore at Queen Elizabeth II's coronation in 1953, the piece she wore at her biggest public moments. In royal symbolism, it showed her role as guardian of the monarchy's values. It had been missing since she died. Royal watchers thought it was in the crown's collection or stored in a vault. They were wrong. Alexandra had been protecting it all along, but there was more. The box also had a pearl necklace the Queen Mother wore at her last public appearance, diamond earrings from King George VI, a sapphire ring that once belonged to Queen Mary, and a folded piece of old paper sealed with wax. That paper changed everything. Written in the Queen Mother's handwriting on yellowed paper was a message that made Catherine cry. To the future queen who wears grace, not pride, it started. These jewels represent worth, not wealth. Principle, not power. They've been worn by women who understood that serving the crown means putting something greater than yourself first. If you're reading this, you've been chosen, not by me, though I hoped for someone like you, but by your own character, by your willingness to endure without bitterness, to serve without needing glory, to love without losing yourself. Wear these as reminders. The monarchy's strength never came from those who demand respect, but from those who earn it through quiet dignity. Guard the crown's conscience. That's the truest role of a queen. It was signed Elizabeth R., the Queen Mother's signature. Catherine read it 3 times, her hands shaking. Alexandra watched silently. She knew, Catherine whispered. How did she know? She always knew, Alexandra replied. She understood the crown would need someone who could restore what was lost. Dignity, moral authority, the people's trust. There it was. The Queen Mother believed Camilla would never have these qualities. She made a plan to make sure the monarchy's moral legacy skipped right over her. News didn't stay secret long. In the royal world, gossip travels fast. Within 48 hours, someone told Queen Camilla what happened. Whether a staff member or someone with split loyalties, we don't know. But palace sources say she absolutely lost it. Staff there describe anger they'd never seen from her before. Camilla spent decades building a calm reputation, staying composed even when the press attacked. But this broke her. This wasn't media rumors or public criticism. This was the royal family itself, the most respected matriarch speaking from the grave, saying Camilla was unworthy. One source described it. She locked herself in her study for hours. You could hear her voice through the door, not words, just sounds of someone deeply hurt. When she came out, her eyes were red, her face frozen. She wouldn't speak to anyone, not even the king. Camilla's closest helpers tried to downplay it. They're just jewels, one supposedly said. Personal items, nothing more. But Camilla understood. This wasn't about jewelry. This was judgment. The Queen Mother, beloved by Britain, respected by the family, seen as the monarchy's moral voice, had looked at Camilla and found her lacking, had chosen Catherine instead. And there was nothing Camilla could do. The impossible choice. King Charles III was trapped. On one side, his wife, the woman he loved for decades, the woman he fought to marry despite huge opposition, the woman who stood by him when he was Britain's most hated royal, now humiliated by his own mother's rejection from beyond the grave. On the other side, his mother's wishes, the Queen Mother's clear intentions, and Catherine, who did nothing wrong except be chosen by history. Caught in the middle was his own mother, Queen Elizabeth II, who knew about this and said nothing. Palace insiders say Charles was devastated when he learned everything. Not angry, devastated. He spent his life trying to honor family legacy while choosing his own path. Trying to modernize the monarchy while respecting tradition, trying to protect Camilla while serving the crown. And now his grandmother had destroyed it all with one action from the grave. One advisor described a private moment. The king said, "She's still making decisions from the grave. When does it end? When do we get to define this monarchy without ghosts controlling us?" But Charles understood the brutal reality. He couldn't undo this without looking like he was overriding his grandmother's wishes to protect his wife's feelings. The public loved the Queen Mother. They loved Catherine more and more. And Camilla, despite years of image repair, still carried baggage as the other woman who broke up Charles and Diana. If Charles tried taking back those jewels, he wouldn't be defending his wife. He'd be attacking his grandmother's legacy and Catherine's dignity. So he made the most royal decision possible. He did nothing, not from strength, but from being stuck. Sometimes in monarchy, silence is the safest choice. William takes a stand. While Charles struggled, Prince William acted. William has always protected Catherine. He watched her survive brutal media attacks before marriage. He saw her torn apart during their brief breakup. He witnessed her handle impossible pressure with grace, and he wasn't letting anyone, including his stepmother, make Catherine feel guilty. Palace sources say William met privately with his father. The talk was honest but respectful. William made several points. First, these jewels were never Camilla's. They were personal property for someone the Queen Mother believed lived by her values. That's Catherine. Denying it would rewrite history. Second, Catherine didn't ask for this. She didn't scheme. Alexandra came to her because she fulfilled a prophecy made before Catherine even joined the family. This proves Catherine's character. Third, if we undo this, we look ashamed of our grandmother's judgment. We'd be saying the Queen Mother was wrong. Is that the message we want? Fourth, and most powerful, some things were never yours to give, Father, so not yours to take away. That line left Charles speechless. William wasn't challenging his father's authority. He was stating truth Charles understood but couldn't accept. This decision was made before Charles wore the crown, beyond his power to change. William's move was smart. By framing it as respecting the Queen Mother's wishes rather than picking sides, he gave his father a way to accept it without betraying his wife. But make no mistake, William chose Catherine, publicly, clearly, sending a message about who the monarchy's future belonged to. For weeks after getting the jewels, Catherine kept them private. She understood how explosive this was. But eventually the moment came. At a small charity event for children, not a major ceremony, Catherine wore the Queen Mother's guardian brooch. The world stopped. An amateur photographer caught it. The image spread on social media. Within hours, royal watchers identified the brooch and understood. Headlines wrote themselves. Catherine wears Queen Mother's jewels. The brooch that bypassed Camilla. Queen Mother's legacy goes to Catherine. Royal grace returns. The palace stayed silent, making people talk more. Catherine said nothing about the brooch, treating it like normal jewelry. But everyone understood. Catherine was accepting the responsibility, not arrogantly, not with fanfare, with quiet acknowledgement that she carried the Queen Mother's blessing. Public reaction was huge. British polls showed 71% approved of Catherine getting the jewels. Just 12% thought Camilla should have them, and 68% said it proved Catherine was the rightful heir to the Queen Mother's legacy. Social media filled with side-by-side images of Catherine and the Queen Mother wearing the brooch. One writer said, "In one gesture, Catherine reminded us what monarchy should be. Not power or position, but character and service. The Queen Mother saw that in her, and now we do too." In weeks and months after, a change happened in Queen Camilla's public presence. She didn't stop working. She didn't make statements. She just faded. Staff noticed she spent more time alone. She skipped several big events, citing minor health problems. Her appearances became quieter, less confident. Friends close to Camilla, speaking anonymously, describe a deeply hurt woman trying to keep dignity. She feels judged by history and found wanting, not by the public or press, by the family itself, by the women before her, and there's no appeal, no way to change that verdict. It's final. The jewel situation became a symbol for Camilla's whole journey. Always close to power center, never fully accepted. Always present, never quite belonging. One painful moment happened at a private family gathering. Catherine wore different Queen Mother pearls. Camilla's eyes locked on them briefly. Then she looked away. No words exchanged, but everyone felt the weight of that look. Let's understand what this story really tells us. First, the past still controls the present. The Queen Mother died in 2002, over 20 years ago.
The Queen Mother has died peacefully at the age of 101. The announcement from Buckingham Palace said the Queen was at her bedside.
Yet her wishes, judgments, and prophecies still shape royal life today. The monarchy isn't just bound by current traditions. It's haunted by past expectations. Second, character matters more than position. Camilla holds the official Queen Consort title, but moral authority, spiritual legitimacy, and public affection went to Catherine. No official title changes that. Third, the monarchy is really two things: the formal constitutional monarchy with state dinners and duties, and the symbolic moral monarchy in people's hearts. Catherine owns the latter, while Camilla occupies the former. Fourth, Princess Alexandra's role shows hidden power. Senior royals outside direct succession can shape the monarchy through moral authority and historical connection. Alexandra had more power through that velvet box than many working royals get through decades of duty. Fifth, this isn't Camilla versus Catherine. It's about what monarchy represents. The Queen Mother believed in royalty rooted in moral example, that royals should show the nation's best virtues, not just do ceremonies. By choosing Catherine, she tried making sure that vision survived. But the story doesn't end. Because while we know about the transferred jewels, palace watchers ask a bigger question. What else did the Queen Mother leave? Remember those sealed boxes in the royal vault marked QM? The ones no one dared open without royal permission? Rumors say those boxes hold more than trinkets. Historians think they might contain more letters about the monarchy's future, private diaries with honest thoughts about family, specific directions on how traditions should change, maybe even hints about who should or shouldn't inherit the crown's legacy. Princess Alexandra knows what's in those boxes. She's hinted at it privately, but isn't talking. Not yet. When will the next revelation come? What other prophecies did the Queen Mother leave? Who else might be named or left out in her final wishes? We started with a simple act, one elderly princess handing jewels to a younger one. But nothing in the royal family is simple. What looked like a gift was fulfilling a decades-old prophecy. What seemed like family heirlooms was judgment from the grave. What appeared to be about jewelry was about the monarchy's soul. Princess Alexandra took a huge risk following through. She could have kept those jewels locked forever, avoided drama, let the secret die. But she chose to honor her aunt's trust, to fulfill a promise made in dying breaths, to make sure the Queen Mother's vision came true. Catherine accepted that burden with the grace that got her chosen. She didn't look for this. She didn't campaign. She simply lived in a way that fulfilled a prophecy she didn't know existed. And Camilla is learning the hardest royal lesson. Position comes through marriage or title, but legitimacy, true moral legitimacy, can only be earned through character. Once lost, never fully regained. King Charles remains caught between the woman he loves and the legacy he inherited. No easy answer, no perfect solution. But here's what's certain. The Queen Mother still shapes the monarchy from beyond the grave. Her voice, values, and vision echo through every palace room. They influence every decision, every succession plan, every quiet conversation about the crown's future. Through Alexandra's courage and Catherine's grace, that vision was reborn. So I want to hear from you. Was Princess Alexandra right to bypass Camilla and give jewels to Catherine? Or should she have followed official rules regardless of the Queen Mother's wishes? The bigger question, should the dead control the living? Or do past royals' wishes deserve honor no matter how much time passes? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you were King Charles, what would you do? Try reclaiming the jewels to protect your wife's dignity, or let history take its course, even if it means your wife is forever defined by this exclusion. This story is about more than royalty. It's about family. Loyalty. Whether we honor wishes of those before us, even when it causes pain now. These are questions every family, royal or not, must answer. Remember, sometimes the most powerful legacies aren't inherited through bloodline. They're earned through character. Subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter, because the Queen Mother...
To Catherine, who has carried Diana's memory with quiet dignity, that laugh was not just a sound, it was a storm. This isn't just a story about a portrait or a smile. It's about respect, memory, and the invisible weight of history. What truly happened in that hall? And what did it mean for Catherine, Diana's spiritual heir in the eyes of the people? Stay with us, because the truth is more powerful than you think. The moment that shocked the palace. It began like any other grand gathering inside Buckingham Palace, the kind of event where everything is perfectly rehearsed, every smile, every bow, every whispered word measured against centuries of tradition. The chandeliers glittered overhead, the walls carried portraits of monarchs long gone, and history seemed to watch over every guest present that evening. These gatherings were not unusual, but what happened in this one was something no one could have predicted. Among the many portraits that decorate the palace halls, there is one that always captures more attention than the rest, Princess Diana's. To some, it is only a painting. But for millions around the world, it is much more. It is a reminder of a woman who broke barriers, who reached out to the people in ways no royal had done before, and who carried the title of People's Princess with unmatched grace. Diana's portrait is not just art, it is a living memory. And for Camilla, no matter how far she has come, that portrait is a shadow she cannot escape. When Camilla's laughter suddenly echoed through that hall, the atmosphere changed instantly. What might have been a small, harmless reaction in another setting became something far greater in this moment. Guests shifted uncomfortably, whispers spread, and the air grew heavy. The sound of laughter in front of Diana's portrait felt out of place, almost like breaking an unspoken rule of respect. Catherine, standing only a few steps away, could not hide her reaction. For years, she has been known for her calm dignity. No matter the pressure, she carries herself with composure, always balancing the responsibilities of a wife, a mother, and a future queen. But that evening, her mask slipped. In a single moment, her body betrayed what her heart could no longer hold. Insiders who witnessed it describe it as a collapse, not the kind of dramatic fainting that one might imagine, but an emotional collapse that was equally powerful. Her face turned pale, her hands trembled, and her eyes glistened with the kind of sorrow that words cannot capture. She did not need to fall to the ground for people to understand something was terribly wrong. Those close to her rushed forward, not only to comfort her, but also to shield her from the piercing lenses of the cameras that always wait for such cracks in the royal image. Why did this moment strike so deeply? Because it wasn't just about a laugh. It was about what that laugh seemed to symbolize. To many, it represented a clash between two legacies: Diana's memory, which still commands love and loyalty, and Camilla's reign, which continues to face skepticism. It was a reminder that the monarchy is not just about crowns and jewels, but about history, perception, and wounds that never fully heal. For Catherine, Diana is not simply a portrait on a wall. She is a guiding figure, a source of inspiration, and the woman whose memory shaped William's life. To see Camilla laugh in front of Diana's image felt to some like disrespect. Whether intentional or not, it reopened the rivalry that has haunted the palace for decades. In that room, the past collided with the present, and Catherine stood in the middle of it all, unable to hold back the weight of emotions any longer. This is why the moment will not be forgotten. Because in that laughter, people heard echoes of old betrayals. In Catherine's reaction, they saw the human cost of royal duty. And in the silence that followed, the palace itself seemed to remember that some wounds can never be covered, no matter how carefully the crown tries to shine. Diana's shadow in the palace. Princess Diana's presence inside the royal family has never truly faded. Though decades have passed since her tragic death, her memory lingers in the halls of Buckingham Palace.
That Diana, Princess of Wales, has been killed in a car accident, and that her partner, Dodi Fayed, has also been killed They were apparently being pursued by paparazzi on 2 motorcycles.
Like an unspoken truth that refuses to be silenced. Her image is not only preserved in portraits that hang on the palace walls, but also in the hearts of millions across the world. Every time her name is mentioned, it stirs up emotions, grief, admiration, nostalgia, and sometimes even anger. Diana was more than just a princess. She was a global icon who redefined what it meant to be royal. And for Catherine, the current Princess of Wales, Diana is more than history. She is a torchbearer's light, a role model whose warmth, compassion, and bond with the people continue to shape how Catherine carries herself today. The world often sees Catherine as Diana's spiritual successor. From the way she interacts with children, to the sincerity of her smile, to the empathy she shows in her causes, Catherine mirrors the same qualities that made Diana so beloved. She isn't just living her own life. In many ways, she is walking a path Diana began but never had the chance to complete. The comparisons are constant, but unlike others who might feel burdened by it, Catherine seems to embrace it. She wears Diana's engagement ring with pride, not just as a piece of jewelry, but as a promise to continue her legacy. For the public, Catherine represents hope that Diana's spirit still lives on within the royal family. But for Camilla, Diana's memory has always been a shadow too heavy to escape. Every appearance she makes, every title she assumes, every smile she gives is measured against Diana's ghost. For many, Camilla will always be remembered as the other woman, the one who once stood between Charles and Diana. The tabloids of the past painted her as the villain in a love triangle that defined a generation, and while time has softened some opinions, that reputation has never fully disappeared. Diana was celebrated as the heroine, the victim, the adored princess wronged by those who should have loved her most. Camilla, on the other hand, carries the scars of public judgment, and no amount of crowns or titles can erase that history. So when Camilla's laughter echoed in the palace hall directly in front of Diana's portrait, it struck a nerve that words cannot describe. For many who witnessed it, the sound was jarring, almost as though the shadow of history had suddenly come alive. People could not help but wonder, was it a laugh of mockery, a careless slip, or perhaps a nervous reaction from a woman who had lived her entire adult life knowing she would forever be compared to Diana? The truth may never be known, but perception matters more than intention in the royal world. And in that moment, the perception was devastating. For Catherine, the reaction was unbearable. From the time she was young, she openly admired Diana, studying her poise, her elegance, and her way of connecting with ordinary people. She has taken Diana's memory into every part of her own journey, as a royal through her marriage, through motherhood, and now through her role as the future queen consort. To Catherine, Diana is not just William's mother. She is a guiding presence, someone whose absence still shapes their family. To see her memory treated with anything less than reverence, especially within the walls of the palace that once caged Diana, may have been too painful for Catherine to endure. And this is why Catherine's emotional collapse struck so deeply. It wasn't simply a personal reaction to an awkward moment. It was symbolic. It was as though Diana herself had been disrespected in the very place where her memory should have been most sacred. For those watching, it was not Catherine alone who faltered, it was Diana's legacy being wounded once again. In that clash of laughter and sorrow, the past collided with the present, reminding the world that Diana's shadow is still very much alive, and it continues to shape the fate of the monarchy even today. Catherine's silent struggle. Behind every polished smile and graceful wave, Catherine carries a burden most people will never fully understand. To the public, she may appear serene, poised, and endlessly composed, but beneath that calm exterior lies a weight that grows heavier with each passing year.
She is one of the most recognizable women in the world. A fashion icon, a champion of charitable causes, and a princess, the wife and mother of future kings.
Being the Princess of Wales is not only about wearing tiaras, dazzling gowns, or standing beside her husband at official engagements. It is about constantly living under the gaze of comparison, and that comparison almost always leads back to Diana. From the moment William slipped his mother's sapphire engagement ring onto Catherine's finger, a new chapter began, yet it was a chapter written under the shadow of another woman. The world instantly began to label Catherine as the new Diana, a title that was both a blessing and a curse. On one hand, it signified the public's hope that she could carry forward Diana's warmth, compassion, and humanity. But on the other hand, it set expectations so high they were almost impossible to reach. How could anyone, no matter how graceful, live up to the memory of the people's princess? Catherine has faced this challenge with remarkable patience. She has been careful never to try to overshadow Diana, choosing instead to honor her memory in quiet, meaningful ways. Sometimes it is through charities that echo Diana's passions, like her work with children's hospitals or mental health awareness. Other times, it shows in her fashion choices, where subtle nods to Diana's iconic style remind the public of the connection between them. Even the way Catherine raises her children, encouraging them to experience life beyond palace walls, feels like an echo of the motherly warmth Diana once gave to William and Harry. And yet, moments like Camilla's laughter at Diana's portrait strike at the heart of this silent struggle. For Catherine, Diana is not just a figure from history. She is a role model, a woman she admired even before marrying into the family, someone who represents everything Catherine aspires to embody in her role as future queen. To witness any gesture that could be seen as dismissive toward Diana, intentional or not, feels like watching an old wound being torn open. It is not just personal pain, it is the pain of seeing a legacy she treasures being treated carelessly. Those close to Catherine often describe her as strong but deeply sensitive. She is not someone who allows her emotions to spill out freely in public. Her discipline, her composure, and her ability to smile through storms have become her trademarks. But even the strongest hearts can bend under pressure. That day, when Camilla's laugh echoed through the hall, it was one test too many. Her mask slipped, if only for a moment. And what the world saw was not the polished princess, but the woman beneath the one who still carries the burden of history on her shoulders. Her collapse was not simply a moment of weakness. It was a reminder of her humanity. Behind the royal titles and the endless comparisons lies a woman who feels deeply, who loves fiercely, and who carries both the legacy of Diana and the expectations of a nation. The palace has always demanded perfection, but Catherine's struggle reveals a truth few dare to admit. Even in the heart of royalty, the weight of memory can be crushing. Camilla versus Diana, a rivalry that never ended. To understand why a single laugh could ripple through the palace and spark such outrage, one must go back to the story of Camilla and Diana. Their names have been intertwined for decades, bound together not just by Charles, but by love, betrayal, heartbreak, and the heavy crown itself. Even though Diana is no longer alive, her presence continues to loom so powerfully that Camilla can never quite step out of her shadow. The rivalry may have started in whispers behind closed doors, but it has lived on in the public imagination, refusing to fade with time. Diana herself once described her marriage to Charles as having 3 people in it. The world didn't need clarification. Everyone knew the third was Camilla. That single admission cracked the fairy tale, exposing the loneliness and pain Diana carried in a marriage that had been celebrated as a perfect union. To the public, Diana became the wronged princess, the woman who had been betrayed, while Camilla became the other woman, the rival who had stolen what was meant to be pure. Even after Diana's tragic death, the story didn't end. If anything, it grew more complicated.
The world is in shock. Diana, Princess of Wales, is dead, and Britain is in mourning. The 36-year-old princess was killed in a high-speed car chase in Paris early Sunday morning Australian time.
When Charles married Camilla years later, it was far from a smooth path to acceptance. Many resisted the idea that she could ever be anything more than his companion. The notion of her becoming queen seemed impossible, almost offensive, to those who still adored Diana. Newspapers were filled with angry letters, and crowds often looked at her with suspicion rather than admiration. Time, however, has a way of softening sharp edges. Slowly, Camilla began to rebuild her image, supporting charities, avoiding drama, and showing a quieter side of herself. Yet no matter how much effort Camilla put into shaping her role, the rivalry never truly ended. Every time she stepped into the spotlight, Diana's ghost was there. When Camilla wore a dazzling gown, people compared it to Diana's unforgettable style. When she smiled during public appearances, it was measured against Diana's warmth. When she took on royal duties, critics asked if she could ever match Diana's natural connection to the people. It wasn't just that Diana was beloved, it was that her memory became the standard against which Camilla would always be judged. This is why the laughter at Diana's portrait carried such force. It wasn't simply an awkward moment, it was symbolic. For those who still see Camilla as Diana's rival, it felt like an insult to the memory of the woman they still call the people's princess. In an instant, years of careful work to soften Camilla's image were overshadowed by the reminder of a rivalry that never truly healed. One laugh was enough to reignite old wounds, stirring up the anger and grief that had never been fully buried. For Catherine, this is not a rivalry she can distance herself from. It isn't just history, it is her daily reality. She wears Diana's ring on her finger every day. She raises Diana's grandson with the weight of public expectation resting on her shoulders. And she must navigate life inside a palace where Camilla now sits as queen. Catherine is caught between these two legacies, forced to protect Diana's memory while also showing respect to Camilla, who shares the throne with her father-in-law. It is a delicate balance, a line she must walk carefully, and moments like this laugh threaten to undo years of that careful effort. The truth is, Camilla and Diana's story was never just about two women. It was about power, love, betrayal, and legacy. And Catherine, whether she wanted it or not, has inherited the burden of living in the shadow of that unfinished rivalry. What this means for the monarchy's future. The British monarchy has always rested on three fragile pillars: image, tradition, and respect. Without them, the crown itself begins to lose its shine. The royal family does not rule by power in the modern world, it rules by perception. Every smile, every gesture, every word, and every silence is carefully watched, weighed, and remembered by millions. That is why when moments of tension slip through the cracks, they don't simply disappear. They echo, reminding the public that behind the polished pageantry, there are real divisions. Catherine's collapse was one such moment. It was not just a personal response to an uncomfortable situation. It became a symbol. To many, it revealed cracks within the royal family that had long been hidden beneath ceremony and protocol. And those cracks are dangerous, because the monarchy cannot afford to look weak. For an institution that depends on unity and continuity, a single sign of internal struggle can send ripples far beyond palace walls. The questions began almost immediately. If Catherine, the woman widely seen as the future of the monarchy, the one who embodies dignity, warmth, and modern grace, cannot bear the weight of Diana's legacy and Camilla's presence, what does that mean for the crown itself? Catherine has always been admired for her composure, for her ability to represent stability in uncertain times. But if even she falters, the public cannot help but wonder about the future. The truth is, the monarchy thrives only when it appears united. Yet the divisions remain impossible to ignore. Diana's memory continues to live powerfully in the minds of the people. She is not simply remembered, she is revered. For millions, she will forever be the standard of what a princess and perhaps even a queen should be. And Catherine, by virtue of her role and her choices, has become Diana's heir in spirit. The comparisons are constant and the expectations unrelenting. Every step she takes is measured against Diana's memory, whether she wants it or not. On the other side stands Camilla, who, after decades of public resistance, now wears the crown as queen. While she has earned some degree of acceptance, her very presence is a reminder of past betrayals and controversies. Her laugh at Diana's portrait, innocent or not, tore open a wound that never fully healed. It reignited rivalries the palace had long tried to bury, and it reminded the world that the monarchy is not as unshakable as it likes to appear. For the monarchy, this is far more than idle gossip. It is a warning. The past cannot be erased, no matter how many ceremonies are held or how carefully the palace manages its image. Diana's shadow will always linger, and the way the royal family chooses to honor or dismiss that legacy will determine how the public views them moving forward. If Catherine falters, the risk is not just personal, it is institutional. The people may begin to question not only her strength, but also the very stability of the crown itself. And once doubt seeps in, it spreads quickly. For an institution built on centuries of tradition, the greatest threat is not rebellion, but disillusionment. The image of Catherine collapsing after Camilla's laugh will not be forgotten anytime soon. It was more than a reaction, it was a revelation. A reminder that the palace, despite its gold and grandeur, is built on fragile emotions, human flaws, and unresolved histories. Catherine has carried Diana's legacy with dignity, but moments like these show just how heavy that burden is. Camilla, whether she meant harm or not, stirred a storm that exposed the tensions still alive in the monarchy. The laugh was brief, but the impact was lasting. What does the future hold? Will Catherine rise stronger from this, reclaiming her composure as the people's hope for the crown? Or will the whispers of rivalry continue to shadow her every step? Only time will tell. One thing is certain, Diana's presence is as powerful now as it was decades ago, and Catherine's story cannot be told without her. Thank you for staying with us through this journey into the unseen world of the royals. If you found this story as gripping as we did, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters, and we'll be here to bring you the truths others won't dare to tell.